Hey! We're back in the lab again, yo, and we're gonna be doing more experiments with the Nintendo Switch 2, except this time, those are all experiments that you guys suggested in the comments. So without further ado, what happens if you put the Joy-Con 2 upside down on the Switch 2? Okay, so the way you attach the Joy-Con to the Switch 2 is by using magnets. And you know, they have this little blue side here, and you put the blue Joy-Con in there. But what if you try to put them upside down though? Can you? Well, let's try. Let's remove it. Let's flippity flip. And let's just put it back. Yeah, they fit. So yeah, you always wanted to play upside down Mario Kart? Well, now you know. It serves no purpose, but it works. Can you plug in any USB camera to the Switch 2? One of the accessories that Nintendo is trying to push with the Switch 2 is this little USB camera here. It can be used with multiple games including Mario Kart World, Mario Party Jamboree, and basically it's supposed to be a fun little accessory. I think you're supposed to plug it on top of the Nintendo Switch, and if done correctly, it's gonna be detected by the system. So now if we try to go to test USB camera, oh hello, it works, it's me. But I'm wondering, can we use any USB camera? Because I have this small webcam here that I want to use, and yeah, let's try it out. So yeah, as you can see, it turned blue, and if I look at my monitor, well, all of a sudden, I can use this camera. See? I'm not using this one. This one is in my hand. This is no scam. No scam, this is for real. What happens if you plug the Switch 2 camera in the Switch 1? I'm gonna be honest, this was a highly requested question, and I just don't know why, but here's what happens when you plug it in. Nothing. I mean, the Switch 1 doesn't do cameras, so yeah. Can you use the Nintendo Switch 1 Joy-Con with the Nintendo Switch 2? Well, of course not, because the Joy-Con 2, they have magnets, and the Joy-Con 1, they don't have magnets. I'm kidding. If you go to your controller options and you go to change grip order and then you push this little button here, well, the Joy-Con is going to start blinking. And if done correctly, a bada beam bada boom, we can now use a classic Joy-Con, a Pro controller, a Switch 2 Joy-Con. Yeah, there you go. See, we can use everything we want. And that's kind of neat, actually. Can you use the Nintendo Switch 1 Pro controller with the Nintendo Switch 2? Oh, true, good idea. Well, let's push the button, and if done correctly, it is going to be detected. So now we have Joy-Con 1, Switch Pro 2, Joy-Con 2, Switch Pro 1. The sky is the limit! Can you wake up the Nintendo Switch 2 with a Pro Controller 1? Apparently, if you use the Switch Pro Controller from the Switch 1, you cannot wake up a Switch 2 by pushing the home button. Okay, so we're gonna start by making sure both controllers are registered, and as you can see, yes, they are. Let's put the Switch 2 on sleep mode, and now there is nothing. Let me push the home button on a Switch 2 Pro controller. Ta-da! We are back. Alright, now let's do the same thing, sleep mode, and now we're gonna do this with the Pro 1 controller. Home. Home. I said home. Please, home. So yeah, the Switch Pro Controller 1 cannot wake up a Switch 2, but the Pro Controller 2 can do it. So this is one of the differences between the two. What happens if you put a Nintendo Switch 1 in the dock for the Nintendo Switch 2, but without the Joy-Con? In the last video when I did that, people told me that it was because of the Joy-Con that the Switch 1 wouldn't fit in the Switch 2, but that's not the case. Let me show you. Alright, let's take out the Nintendo Switch 2 and take the Nintendo Switch 1. As you can see, it's working perfectly, and it still doesn't fit. It wasn't because of the Joy-Con. No, that's not it, guys. The actual reason why they're not compatible is because of this little notch down there. As you can see, the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, they both have this notch, but it isn't the same size. So if you look like inside the dock, you can see this little piece of plastic here. This is the culprit. This is the thing that prevents us from docking Switch 2 in Switch 1 and Switch 1 in Switch 2. So blame this guy. Can you use a dockless dock with the Nintendo Switch 2? Let's be honest, the Nintendo Switch dock is a bit bulky. which is why some companies actually created dockless docks. And if you plug them in correctly, well, you should have a Nintendo Switch that is docked without actually being docked. As you can see, it worked for my Switch 1. But will it work for the Switch 2? So obviously I swapped all of the cables to use the official Nintendo ones, and let's see if it works. Well, the console battery is charging, but my current model doesn't seem to output using HDMI. Let me try pushing it harder. Everything is plugged in correctly, but alas, it is not working for the Switch 2. Can you use the Switch Online Gamecube controller on the Switch 1? Oh, that's a good question because I literally received mine last night. Let me go grab it. Alright, unboxing time. It's a GameCube controller. Battery's dead here, so we're gonna give it a little charge, and it is flashing orange, which means we can now try to sync it to the OG Switch. I'm in the menu right now, which means I'm going to push on this little button, and it is currently syncing. And it's syncing. And it's syncing. And it's not syncing. It's this whole experiment that is currently syncing like the Titanic. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be compatible. I want to make sure it's not my controller that is broken. So I'm gonna go ahead and sync it to my Switch 2. And once again, we're gonna push this little button. Oh wow, well that was quick. It worked perfectly on the first try. I'm still curious to see what happens if we plug it in using USB. Nah, it's no use. It is just not detecting anything. It doesn't want to work at all. Which is kind of a shame, let's be real. What happens if you insert a Switch 1 edition of a game on the Switch 2? This one's actually very interesting because I don't know what's gonna happen. I've been playing a lot of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and as you can see on the menu, well, it's right there. But what if instead of the red cartridge, I insert that old gray cartridge from the Switch 1? Alright, let's get rid of this red cartridge, and let's replace it with this cartridge from the OG Switch. So on my menu right there, it says The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch 2 Edition. But what happens if I launch it? Ooh, to use the upgrade pack, you'll need to have access to the associated game card. Huh, okay. What if I start software anyways? The software will now start without the upgrade pack. Okay. Oh, as you can see, it's the Nintendo Switch logo. Yeah, it's the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It doesn't say Nintendo Switch Edition on the corner right there. And if I hit continue, well, it only has my save file from that version. Huh, that's interesting. Obviously, it is not going to benefit from the increased loading speed or the better frame rate and better resolution. But what I can tell for sure is that it works. So yeah, at least there's that. I just noticed something as I pushed the home menu. It is no longer the Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 Edition icon that I have on my Switch 2 menu. It's the original Breath of the Wild icon. So yeah. Oh, and if I shut it down, it turns back into Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Okay, well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting all of those changes to occur. What happens if you remove a cartridge from the Switch 2 without closing the game first? Well, this one's a classic. I did it with all previous console in another video. So Switch 2, you will not be spared. Obviously, do not try this at home. It's probably not a good thing to do, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Hey, it's our classic error. The software was closed because the game card was removed. Always close the software before you remove the game card. But yeah, jokes aside, it's the same error message, nothing special happens. What happens if you remove a game key card from the Switch 2 without closing it first? Okay, so game key cards. The way they are supposed to work is that you put it in your Switch, it downloads the game from the eShop, and then you get to play it. But it kinda doesn't have the game on the card, so what happens if you remove it? To use this keycard, you'll need to download data. Oh, look at that. Even after the data has been downloaded, the game keycard will need to remain inserted to play the game. Okay, then maybe removing it will be a bad idea. Anyways, let's download it, and I guess I'll let you know once it is downloaded. It might take a while. Okay, the game is finally ready. Let's check it out. Well, there you go. Bravely Default Flying Fairy. Hey, we're not gonna be pressing any buttons because you know what we need to do now. Alright. Farewell, game key card. You are out of here. The software was closed because the game card was removed. Well, it's the same error as any cartridges would give you. So yeah. What happens if you plug in 2 chargers at the same time? Man, you guys are cruel. You really want me to break my freaking Switch 2 on day 2? Alright, let's try. So first off, let's plug one of them. It's charging. And let's plug another one. Okay, it just stops charging. Yeah, it's no longer charging. It doesn't catch on fire. Alright, let me remove that before it does. What happens if you get infinite power? Really? Really? Infinite power? Really? Alright, let's go. Oh, well. Hey, nothing happens. We're good. Well, I think we know pretty much everything that there is to know about the Nintendo Switch 2. If you have other ideas for experiments, well, leave them in the comment section down below and I might do a part 3. In the meantime, well, I'm gonna go play Mario Kart. So you tap the cards on screen right now and you watch one of those videos, because they are really good, I promise. Okay, bye-bye.